Hi class, before we go over our next project, I wanted to go over the paper that you got sent home to you. It came in this nice light blue folded piece of construction paper. It has a label at the corner that says New Art Paper, and inside you have a bunch of different papers cut to the right sizes and different colors, and they're even paper clipped together by project. So here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to open up your blue folder, take out all the paper inside, and put it into your art folder. Because I want to use this light blue paper from now on. If you open it up all the way, take your folder that you just got the paper sent home in, lay it out flat, and I want you to start to use this paper as your table protector. Mine is brown. I always use it for art projects. You can use this paper to go underneath your project, so when we're gluing, like we will be for our project today, if the glue goes off the paper, it goes onto your table protector, not the table that you're working on at home. So this can actually fold up every time we're done with a project. You can fold up your table protector and keep this inside your art folder as well. I have my brown one here I'm going to keep using for our project today, but you will have a lovely blue table protector for you to use each week. So for today's project, we are going to make a gingerbread house. So inside your art folder, what I want you to do is find a piece of paper that's all paper clipped together with everything that you need. You will have a pre-cut gingerbread house shape with a strip of white paper and a few color options of construction paper. You can unclip this paper clip, and if I were you, my guess is this might take us more than one art class. I would keep this paper clip close by, put it somewhere safe where you won't lose it, so that at the end of class, if you have some pieces that you've cut and you didn't have time to glue them down yet, you could kind of gather up your pieces and paper clip it together at the end of class for next week. So keep that paper clip close by. But for now, what you're going to need today are these papers, a glue stick, probably, let's see, some scissors, maybe a pencil. And my guess is that later on, probably next class, we'll also maybe need some crayons to add detail. And I think that's about it. Maybe a white crayon, especially if you want to add some extra snow falling. Let's go ahead and start your gingerbread house with just that brown piece of paper and the colorful paper that you were given. The rest can kind of go ahead to the side. Now I'll keep my project here so we can kind of look at both as we're working. So the first thing I want you to do is we have to make a door for your gingerbread house. Now it could be a rectangle, it could be kind of have a nice archway, and I'll show you a few different ways to do it. I'll do the arch one maybe on this one, maybe the square one here. So go ahead through your stack of papers and pick what colors do you think you're going to want where. One of these could be a door color. Another could be the windows. A different one could be the shutters. I did the door and the windows the same color. It's really up to you. You're going to have lots of decisions and choices for this project. Now, I'm going to go ahead this time and maybe I'll make my door kind of this purpley color. And let's go ahead and start there. Here's my suggestion. Rather than just starting to cut, I think what I did, and it worked out really great, is I folded this paper in half. So I'm going to go ahead and take it and fold it in half, like a little mini card. And this was the size that I used for the door. So go ahead and fold your paper right in half, and it's going to look like a great size for a door. So a few things. One, if you want to leave it as a door, and you could glue the back down like this, it's kind of cool that it opens and closes. You could do something like that. If you want to cut it and glue it down flat, go ahead and cut right on the folded line. Now, like I said, you could keep it as a rectangle, or if you want, you could kind of draw a curved arch at the top. Let's go ahead and try that look. I'm going to curve each corner. Turn it around so I can draw it a little bit easier. always turn your paper if things feel uncomfortable as you're cutting or drawing. It definitely helps while you're working to move everything as you need to. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut that out and glue it down. And you should be working on your door too. Okay. So this is why we have that table protector with us today. I'm going to turn my door over and I'm going to add some glue onto the top, twist up the bottom, and I'm going to glue on top of my table protector, not on top of my project and not on top of the table. I know some of you are working at a desk at home or a dining room table and we want to keep those clean. So let's go ahead and make sure any extra glue goes off onto the table protector. That's fine if this gets really gross and dirty. That's what it's for. Okay, I'm going to line it up at the bottom and I'm going to look. It looks like it's kind of in the middle the best I can. And it's lined up at the bottom the best I can. I'm going to go ahead and push it down flat. Now I like this kind of arched doorway look. Totally up to you which one you want to do. Now, with the other half of the paper, we made fold it in half and one half was the door. With this half, if you wanted your windows to be the same color as your door, you could go ahead and do this. If you don't, you can make it out of another color piece of paper. But you can just fold it in half again, and you have a really good size for windows. One here and one over here. Go ahead and cut on that folded line. So basically, so far, all we've done is we've taken a piece of paper, folded it in half, made a door. Folded it in half again, and made two windows. And like I said, this is your project. So if you have a different idea, maybe you wanted heart-shaped windows here, try and make heart-shaped windows. If you want circle windows, go for it. Maybe these look just a little bit too big for you and you want to trim them down. Absolutely. If I were you, I would do it together, whatever you do, so that they come out the same. So if you wanted a heart-shaped window, for example, I would draw the heart on top of one, put them together, and cut them out together so they come out the exact same. There we go. Two windows. And again, gluing on the table protector, not the table. Okay. Now from here, let's just keep adding details. If you want to add shutters, we can, and it's up to you what color. Maybe I want to start to use this nice bright teal color. Everything I do, I kind of want to be the same size. So again, when you fold your paper and you want to cut them out together at the same time so you get everything to be the same shape. So for my shutters on my window, I'm going to fold this paper and cut them out together. Okay. And you can kind of measure right on top of your own work. So if I cut that off, they'd be too short. So I need to keep cutting. What about now? That would be a great height. Right there. Perfect. Two shutters on each side of my window. And I would make some for the other side as well. Now, if you want a special kind of window up top, I did a circle one. Again, it could be an arched window. Whatever you want up there for the shape works for me. Go ahead and keep working on your gingerbread house, adding as many doors and windows and details as you'd like. And then we're going to go ahead and talk about the snow and the candy part later. Okay, so I finished adding all sorts of details like the windows and the doors, the shutters, and even went ahead and added a doorknob. This is probably something you could do with crayon later if you're not comfortable cutting out a small circle like that. Up to you. But we're still going to not do crayon just yet. We're not going to add those small details. That should go at the very end. we're still working on the bigger details. And next, I think that we should add some snow along the bottom and along the roof. Now, I kind of used smaller ripped pieces of paper and kept building and building and adding until I got the look that I wanted. So I could use some of the smaller pieces for the icicles on the roof and some of the bigger ones to go like straight across the door or on the ground. So find that long strip of white paper that you have, and you can go ahead and you can start ripping using your fingers. You are stronger than the paper. You can make it go the direction you want. Move your hands and tell it, I want it to go down because I want thin strips. Or I want it to go up because I want them a little thicker. There's really no wrong way to build it, to rip it. You can always make it smaller and rip more, and you can always add another piece on to make it bigger. So just go ahead and rip a few pieces. And we can choose, maybe I like this one. It has some nice variety, some kind of higher points and lower points. I think I want to put that on the ground right here covering my door. So I would go ahead and glue this down. And it's definitely a little bit too long, but you can always trim the extra. And save that extra because you'll probably want to add it somewhere else in your work. Notice I took one of the ones that had a straight edge and I used that for the bottom because it lines up nice with the bottom of our house. I wouldn't, for example, want to use this one down here because it's all wonky and I like that nice clean edge to the bottom of our artwork. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim off this extra and use it somewhere later on. Next, I'm going to take some of that snow and add it to the top. Now you could use the straight edge pieces. You don't have to. You could use some of the other pieces here too. I think this is a little bit too thick for my roof, so I'm going to go ahead and start with this one here. And I'm going to say it should go up to the top here, and then there'll be extra, and then I can start going back down the other side. I'm going to go ahead and continue to add snow to my roof and maybe a little bit to the doors or windows. You could also just do that with white crayon later. I'll leave that choice again up to you. So I finished adding the bigger pieces of snow. I did have to, there wasn't enough of that straight piece, so I even like filled in a little piece from another white strip of paper, and you can't really tell. So you can always, like I said, if you don't have enough, just add another piece in. I added snow to the top of my windows. And I kind of want to add some to the arch here, but I wanted to show you when you just have strips of paper, all you'd have to do is just kind of break them up into smaller pieces and just slowly curve them around the door. So I'm going to go ahead and add some glue to the top of my door and show you what I mean. Or you could even do it if you have like an arch or a circle window. And again, you don't have to. This could be something you do with crayon. Start there and then kind of turn it and let it overlap and go across until we reach the other side. Just a little bit more glue and I'm good. Okay. Now the icicles. I went ahead and I ripped a few small pieces. If you want icicles, you're going to want some really small pieces too. So I'm going to grab one of these big chunks of paper and just show you. Again, like you can control the paper. You just have to make sure you think about it and don't just hope for the best and rip. So I'm going to start here and say, okay, I want a really small piece. So I'm going to push between my fingers and I'm going to pull. Now I want it to go off. So I'm going to pull it to the right because I only want a small, like teeny tiny piece. Again, break it in half here. Maybe I want to pull it this way to the left because I know I'm going to want it to stop. So I have some really nice small pieces. I'm just going to start adding a few icicles. You could try this in crayon. I think that the white paper would work best. If you start the snow up here with white, I think you should maybe stick to that, but that's just my opinion. Okay, I have a few spots for icicles. Here's one. And you can put two next to each other, maybe a nice long one and then a smaller short one next to it. I went ahead even on the other one and added some icicles hanging above the doors. Your choice. So I think we have all the nice like snowy details all set. And now I think the really fun part. This is the part you're going to do with the other colorful paper and lots of crayon detail on top. You can start adding some candy. Now, usually there's something big in the front on either side of the door. In fact, your gingerbread houses are typically symmetrical. Symmetrical meaning if I were to draw a line right down the center of my house, it is the same on both sides. You can see that we have that now. There's a window on each side. If you divided that oval in half, it would be symmetrical. I even have a nice symmetrical roof. Now, that means if I add a big giant lollipop to one side, I want to go ahead and add it to the other side to make a nice symmetrical gingerbread house. That's how they typically are, but you don't have to. Again, if you want a chimney coming up and you only want it on one side, sure, go ahead, that's fine. Now I'm going to show you how I did those big giant lollipops. Maybe you want candy canes, maybe you want something totally different. I did a gumdrop roof. You don't have to. This time I'm just going to add like sprinkles to my roof. So I'll go ahead and show you those things now and the crayon. And you can kind of just from here be really creative and take it in your own direction, and I'm totally fine with that. All right, all I did for those lollipop pieces is I folded a piece of paper in half. With a pencil, I drew a nice big circle. And after I do the circle, I'm going to cut those pieces out together. Keep that paper folded so that when I cut them, just like before, it will be the same size. There we go. Those two lollipop pieces. And I could use some of the extra white paper or the colorful paper and add the sticks. And then at the very end, I want you to add as much detail as you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and grab a crayon and add some details to my windows. And maybe you want some sort of a design on your shutters. And you could even add designs around the windows. Be creative. We could even add like little sprinkle marks to the roof. Maybe this is kind of like a frosting instead of snow. I could switch and get other colors. Go ahead and keep adding as much detail with cut paper and crayons that you would like until you feel like you have completed your entire gingerbread house.